What is going on, everybody? Nasdorachi coming back at you again today for another 5-9 discussion style video. We will be talking about the newly announced, as of earlier today, Steam Deck, a new portable console that Valve is putting out seemingly to combat the Nintendo Switch. That's what my initial reaction is to seeing this thing. I'm also joined today on the video by Iz. Welcome to the 5-9 videos. Iz, how are you doing today? What is your initial reaction to seeing the Steam Deck?
I'm doing pretty fine. A little hungry here and there, but still chilling. And my initial reaction to this is I'm very confused because looking over the specs here, it just seems like it's gonna be a little bit weird this time around.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the best thing that we should start with. We do have the complete specifications for the device itself. Now, again, it is in your mind if you haven't seen a picture of it, and I'm sure we'll have one on screen, but it really looks like a direct shot at a Nintendo Switch style of device. However, instead of it being something that's very internalized to Valve, it's just going to be essentially kind of like a mobile gaming PC that's just kind of, got the Steam library natively accessible. They've also come out and said that it'll have access to the Epic Game Store as well, so it's not like they're trying to keep it very, brand specific. I'm sure there'll be plenty of modders and hackers out there who will have their way with this thing too, and it'll be able to run many different PC games and have different functions, but it is powered by an AMD APU with a Zen 2 4C8T 4.3 3.5 gigahertz up to 448 G-flops. I mean, a lot of technical talk. Basically, it looks like it's got like a 4-core processor with 8 threads. That's what I'm getting from this. With a highly mobilized GPU. I don't know what an 8 RDNA 2CUs is, but 16 gigabytes of RAM and a couple different price points depending on how much storage you want. That's something that we can get into a little bit later in the video, but it starts off pretty competitively priced with the Switch, but very quickly, if you want enough storage to install some of the larger PC games, you're gonna have to start shelling out considerably more money than what you'd be spending on a Nintendo Switch. Pretty standard controls for what you would assume for this type of console with, very, Xboxy style L2, R2, L1, R1, D-pad, double analogs, and like the ABXY setup. They are a little bit crammed up into the top right corners though. There are some trackpads and some rear-facing buttons, and the display is 1280 by 800. So essentially not too much different than a Nintendo Switch being, of course, 1280 by 720. Basically 720p with an LCD on the Steam Deck here. You said is that you know a little bit more about the battery life on this, because I hadn't actually read any reports on that. So what have you heard in terms of the battery life and the output graphics, all that stuff pertaining to that?
We look at the input first. The input has a 45 watt USB Type C PD 3.0 power supply, and looking at the battery, it's a 40 watt an hour battery. So essentially, you can have 2 to 8 hours of gameplay. The 2 to 8 hours of gameplay actually vary between the games. Apparently, they said that if you're to play Portal 2, all right, now mind you, Portal 2 is like a very early 2010s game, all right? If you're to play Portal 2 on this Steam Deck, you would have about 4 hours of battery life to play that game. But if you're to dumb down the FPS, you would shoot up that time to 5 to 6 hours of gameplay.
Now is that 60 versus 30 FPS specifically with those two?
Yeah, it's 60 versus 30. It's basically, if you play games cranked up to, the highest settings of graphics and whatnot, you will definitely have a shorter battery lifespan as opposed to just dumbing it down and having more of a longer lifespan of hours of gameplay.
I'm sure that would definitely be affected by newer games, right? Like you said, Portal, which is, like you said, a lot older of a game, but something that's even newer, like brand spanking new, that has really high graphics, things like Battlefield 2042, for example, you might be more down in that 2 or 3 hour range, I guess, right? So
yeah, pretty much. It's just, it feels weird to me when it comes to portable devices. I take them and I go out. And I tend to play them, and I want to play them for as much as I can for however long I'm out. Say I'm going out with my family and we're going down to we're going to visit like my family in Ohio, if I'm playing on the Steam Deck on like, a really cool, like, graphically high entertaining game, I'm probably only gonna be entertained for like 2 hours at most, 2 to 3 hours at most, and then the rest of the drive I'm like bored out of my mind.
It is like you mentioned, it's a portable console, but there's a ball and chain around its ankle because you do have to stay relatively close to a power outlet, right? Now, I would assume in most situations, like if you're going on an airplane trip, a car trip, with the car trip, you could probably get around that with like the, an inverter into the cigarette lighter with a plug, or even most newer cars will feature like an outlet in them somewhere. But this is definitely not the device to take with you like when you're going camping, right? Even compared to something like a laptop where you could bring that and get, watch a few movies on it. You could probably get, 10 to 12 hours of battery life out of some laptops, depending on how new the battery is. I know mine certainly wouldn't last that long, but when it was brand new, it would. You are definitely tethered, like you said, to some form of electricity if you want any extended entertainment out of this. Now, I know it also has a dock, and I would assume with it being centered around multiplayer games, the Steam library, a lot of stuff is multiplayer. Do we have any information about network capabilities on it? I see it has dual band Wi-Fi radios and Bluetooth 5.0, so you will be able to put controllers in it, and you will definitely be able to attach it to Wi-Fi, but I guess it doesn't provide any of its own network. So again, in situations where you're in like a car trip, you don't have like Wi-Fi built into your car, something like my car's a 2006. You're definitely not playing any multiplayer games while you're, in motion. Yeah, it's definitely somewhat limiting in the mobile side based off of the online functionality, having to have Wi-Fi, and then the power restrictions as well. So it comes with a dock as well. Do you have to buy the dock? It doesn't come with it.
No, so that's the thing I was about to say. The dock you actually have to buy separately. Which, that was another thing that I felt weird about, because when you buy your Nintendo Switch, it comes with the dock. You get the Steam Deck, and then it's like, hey, cough up more money for the dock. So that's why I'm just like, I don't really know how well this is gonna fly, especially with people who want to have like, be able to play their Steam games like on their TV or somewhere else.
Yeah, I know that with the Nintendo Switch, you pretty much have to have the dock. It would be kind of neat if this device, you could just walk up to your friend's TV, say you're not at your house, but you want to bring your Steam game, to your friend's house and play like kind of like, LAN essentially. It'd be neat if you could just like use the HDMI output to hook it up to the TV and not necessarily need a dock like you would with the Nintendo Switch. So that's something else that may give this a little bit of an edge over the Switch. Like if you could just walk over and hook it up and you don't need to bring the dock with you. I could see that being pretty neat. Who do you think like this console is mainly appealing to here?
Like I said earlier, when it comes to Steam stuff, it's like this is trying to mainly appeal to those who, have a PC and who love like Steam and like all the games that Steam has. It is definitely appealing out to more those type people as opposed to like some console people. This actually also might appeal to also some console people who don't actually have like a PC, or like who can't necessarily really afford a pretty, decently powerful PC at the moment due to like, financial issues and stuff like that. But if they're able to get their hands on this, they're able to play all their like, all those PC games that are on the Steam. So I feel like that's the kind of group they're trying to market at even more, just to make sure like PC gaming is at least more easily accessible to those who cannot afford it.
I'm kind of in agreement with you. It's mainly targeting PC gamers, or people that, like he said, want to be PC gamers, aspiring PC gamers, just due to the Steam and Epic Games integration. I think it's also trying to go for those adult gamers who are a little bit more mobile, maybe ones that travel a good bit or have reason to not necessarily be at their computer often enough to enjoy some of these games. Similarly, like the Nintendo Switch. I do think the Nintendo Switch may be a little bit more geared towards kids and young adults, where Steam might be trying to replicate basically the same experience, but with not only kids and teens, but more adults who again are into that PC gaming side. I do really like the concept. There are a couple other quirky things that kind of are maybe red flags for me, I'm not sure, but like the Nintendo Switch is a very modular system, and by that I mean you can like pull the Joy-Cons off, and you don't have to have the controllers connected. With this device, unlike the Nintendo Switch, you won't be able to replace the two controllers that are natively built into it. Immediately, that would make me want to be a little bit more careful with this thing, even than the Nintendo Switch. I know that they're both seemingly fragile devices, but with that lack of ability to replace some of that stuff, hopefully they're really high quality as well. I don't know. Is this something that you would be immediately interested in picking up, or?
This does not seem like something I would pick up, even if like I was like on the travel type person. I just want to see, like, I'm one of those types of people where if I don't really, don't want to really, dip my feet in the water per se, I let those people who are willing to buy, look at it first. I'll look at reviews and stuff like that, and then I'll base my, opinions around that. For mobility's sake, I'm completely fine. I don't really need that type of new system where it comes with mobility. But that's just me. As of right now, again, it's just not something in my interest.
I would be extremely interested in getting one, but I wouldn't get too much functionality out of it. It really depends on what you're looking for. In most situations, I would recommend you save up and get a laptop instead, because the price points, when you get to that, the $650 version for the bigger hard drive in this one, you're getting to the point where if you just get, a reasonable laptop, you'll have the ability to do some gaming and other work projects, graphic design, running other programs, trading on the stock market, whatever you do with a computer. Whereas this device, if you're just solely looking for gaming on the go, I think that's who this would most appeal to. There are 3 different versions that are going to be immediately available. Of course, the $399 version is the one that's most visibly marketable, but the downside to that one is it only comes with 64 gigabytes of storage. I'm assuming there is an SD card slot, so you can expand on that. Again, that's going to cost money right there, buying SD cards. They have, however, announced 2 other ones, which are respectively $529 for the 256 gigabyte, and you're looking at $650, like I mentioned earlier, for the 512 gigabytes. So for almost half a terabyte, you're looking at $650, which is significantly more expensive than a Switch. Albeit you'll have a significantly larger game library or access to, the Steam library with tons of different games. I feel like most of the people who buy the Nintendo Switch are invested in those specific Nintendo properties that are going to come out for it anyway, like, the Zelda games, the Smash games, hopeful Metroid, things like that. And, this is Switch's or Nintendo's only console. So if you want that experience, you get the Switch, whether you care about the portability of it or not. With this console here, I think it's a much more niche product, because again, I think it's really only targeting people that can afford this level of technology to get the optimal experience, that are also very mobile PC gamers. I think there's a much smaller market share of consumers that are going to be interested in this specific product. But with that being said, I would generally be more interested in a laptop. For $650, you're really close to the range of some laptops that will be able to do probably most of the things that this thing can do. And with this thing also, just referencing the Nintendo Switch really quickly, and I don't know what your thoughts are, but with the controllers and everything together in its mobile fashion, I don't find it particularly comfortable to hold. So I generally bring like the Pro controller, set the Switch like on my lap, and I'll still play with the Pro controller. I know you'll be able to do that as well with this, but I don't know. Again, it's just a very different market that this thing is looking to capture off of a very similar design. So I'm definitely very curious and interested in it. I just don't know overall how big of a splash it'll make in the gaming hemisphere. That's pretty much all my thoughts on it, but if you wanted to go ahead and close out the video, you're more than welcome to.
Well, going off on what you're saying about having the Switch and everything, I understand that too. It's like, with the Switch, you can also use the Pro controller, stuff like that, which I find kind of useful sometimes, especially with the portability of the modular, taking out the Switch controls, because some games do. If you do play off the dock, some of them do require you to use those controllers. I know No More Heroes does that. I honestly don't see anything really that great about it, because say, what if one of the buttons gets sticky, or it's just you get a dead zone in your sticks? That's essentially $100 repair right there if you were to give it to someone, or potentially $200 depending on what
or you're having to buy a whole new system.
Exactly, yeah. And we're going back onto, we did a video earlier in the year, I think it was around May, our initial reaction to this, and referencing that video, like we've made like some speculations of it, and some of us were hoping it'll be good, some of us weren't, and just looking at it, it really does look like it. Most of like the people that did say they didn't think it would be that good were kind of right, and I think I was one of them. Speaking about it being a Steam thing, thinking about when we also did that video, we also thought, would there be a Steam exclusive to be ported to this? And even now, like, we have no words on that, and I don't believe that there will be like a game solely for the Steam Deck itself.
I don't think that Valve is really in the game making stages anymore. Like, they just have their library, their service, and other people are making the games for them.
Yeah, so as it being like that, because I know when Valve Index came out, they specifically made Half-Life Alyx, but now they're making a Steam Deck and there's no game for it. It's still not going to draw that many people in. Like, that's just my overall understanding of this.
Yeah, again, I'm hoping that it'll be a good product and they can use it to innovate and keep refining it and making it better and better as time goes on. I'm not immediately sure how many people are gonna just jump on the bandwagon with this thing. Maybe when 5.9 gets big enough one day, we can reach out to the companies and actually get some hands-on with these devices. But for now, we just have a preview video of it here for you guys. If you enjoyed it, you let us know by hitting the like button and commenting something down below of your excitement or non-excitement over this device. We'd love to hear your feedback, and that'll kind of let us know that you enjoy when we kind of step out of our normal bounds to do stuff like tech reviews or previews and things like that. So doesn't sound like he's too optimistic about it. I'm fairly optimistic about it. I just don't quite fully understand how big of an impact it's gonna make. I would love it to be the next big thing, but I'm just not sure. So we'll have to wait and see. Maybe we'll be able to come back to you guys with a review video for this once it's already out. That would be really great. But until the next video, hopefully if you're new around here, consider hitting that subscribe button, hitting the bell as well, so we can see all you guys on other uploads, most of which probably won't be tech reviews. But if you guys do enjoy this, we'd love to keep doing it. With that being said, this is Nasdorachi. I'm gonna sign out for now, and if you wanna say goodbye, go ahead and we can wrap this bad boy up.
Have a nice day, everyone. And if you are looking to buy it, just please, at least keep your hopes a little bit lower than expected.
We'll see you on the next one. Thanks everyone who turned out this long, watched all the way to the end here. Peace out, everybody.
Bye.